I call them crazy news from Russia, the news that matter and that you will not find in any Western mainstream media. What's really going on in Russia, that type of news. I give them to you every Friday, and this is week 29 in review. The central bank hikes key interest rate to astronomical level. Russia's top officials start telling the truth, including fertility rate is catastrophic. New product introduced. Webinar on how to get ready for arrests and interrogations. What happens when a Russian tank collides with a Russian car? Another attack helicopter, Havoc, is down. But why? Russian governor starts questioning the war for the first time. In the biggest news of week 29, Russian generals keep on disappearing. Another one bites the dust. Howdy, howdy, friends. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. Welcome to Fridays. I give you crazy news updates straight out of the mad circus that Russia has become. But first things first. There's no such absurdity that could not be realized in Russia these days. Please remember that. And now I'd like to jump straight to the news. Let me start with the major news that are affecting everyone in Russia. Predicted, long-awaited, and scary. Today, Russia's central bank increased the key interest rate by 2%, by 200 basis points, from 16 to 18%. The central bank explained the rate increase by the need to reduce inflation. I quote, "Inflation has accelerated and is significantly higher than our April forecast. The growth of domestic demand continues to significantly outpace the possibilities of expanding the supply of goods and services." The central bank also announced that to return inflation to the target, significantly stricter monetary conditions are required than previously assumed. Further rate increases will be assessed at the next meetings of the central bank, and the next meeting is coming up on September 13th. So another hike is possible. Wow. Just wow. Whew. Sugarcoating this crucial problem of high inflation up to yin-yang, saying that the inflation is tackled down, under control now, and the prospects, the future is looking bright. Well, there's nothing to worry about. That's what they were telling us as soon as April. And in July, just a couple months later, turning around completely. Inflation has accelerated and is significantly higher than our April forecast. Whose forecast? I, Konstantin, right here, forecasted multiple times live in the live streams that the inflation was out of control last year, this year, in April. You know, it has been that way for the past at least 15 months, and it's getting worse. I said it multiple times. And all highly qualified, extremely highly paid employees of Russia's central bank didn't see it coming? They all were mistaken? Wow. I want to ask, how many of them were mistaken, really? How many people does the central bank employ? Let's check it out, This wonderful building of the central bank. The latest official report dates to January 2017. At least that's what I could find. There's nothing else. There's no more fresher than this, 7 years ago. So in 2017, now, are you ready? Get this. 53,519 people. 53,000. I thought it's just a few hundred people. It's a regulatory institution. It doesn't do high volume of daily transactions and trades, 53,000 people. All 53,000 people, employees, didn't see the inflation growing in April. Any economist, heck, any freshman economics student can tell you that in Russia, inflation has been rising with vector towards increasing and becoming galloping soon. I mean, all you have to do is to look at current economic conditions. This is like ABCs of economics. And 53,000 highly paid economists of the central bank didn't see it coming. Whew, I gotta calm down. Two things amaze me. First, that's how will the foreign media and the international organizations and institutions react to Nabiullina's statement. Those praising Russian economy and Russian central bank, the IMF, the World Bank, Bloomberg, the usual suspects, will they turn around just like Russian central bank did like this and tell everyone completely opposite story of what they were saying just a few weeks ago? I'd like to see, I'm going to be watching closely these institutions, what they're going to be talking about. I just can picture this, someone comes up and says, well, how can you comment this? Why did you do that? And they go, us? We never said that. We never did this. But this is in your report right here on paper. It's in your press releases. No, it wasn't us. We couldn't say that. Wasn't us. Way to go, highly paid economists at the IMF and the World Bank. And the second thing that amazes me, what will be saying those Russians, according to who, everything in Russia is just fine and dandy. The key rate jump to 19% cannot be ignored by anyone. Regular people will see it everywhere. Next Monday. At first, at the food stores, I guarantee you, next Monday they're going to show up and the prices for food are up. Then they will see it everywhere else. Want to take out mortgage? Well, current 20% will turn into 22, 23%. Want to take a car loan? Current 31% will turn into 34%. Oh, you're a small business owner and you want to take out a business loan. You need some operational capital, perhaps. Here it is for 22% annum. So you think your product cost will increase by quite a bit. What's the big deal? Increase the price. Let the customers pay. Everyone will feel this very soon. Literally. This coming Monday. What will be they saying now? Putin's fault? War costing us too much, perhaps? What's going on? Or perhaps they'll start asking questions. Or perhaps they'll say, them evil West forcing food stores to raise bread prices. Again, them warmongering Americans want to starve us good Russians. We'll show them. Some of them, I guarantee you, will say that. The key rate of 19% is one of the faces of the economic tsunami that is already flooding Russia. We don't have to wait for it. It's there. It's facing us, or we're facing it. Folks, at the end, everyone will get what they deserve. Mark my words on that. Another news piece is, again, predicted, expected, and scary. It's also truthful. And it comes from Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov. Oh, ho, ho, Dmitry Peskov. Don't we know you, Dmitry? That's what he said at the New Media Festival today. I quote, good Dmitry Peskov, the birth rate in Russia is at the low level of 1.4. This number is catastrophic for the future of the nation. We live in the largest country in the world, and there are fewer of us every year. And it is possible to fix it with only one thing, by increasing the average fertility rate, unquote. Now, I both agree and disagree. The number 1.4 is catastrophic, and probably the number is worse because whatever comes out of a high government officials in Russia was, we take it with a grain of salt usually, especially if it comes out of the mouth of Dmitry Peskov. So 1.4, let's suppose, it's pretty bad, it's catastrophic, yes. Russia future is not in a good shape with that number. There are fewer and fewer Russians every year. I also agree with Dmitry Peskov. But is it possible to fix it with only by increasing the average fertility rate? Ho, Dmitry, you are wrong here. Just a couple hints, perhaps to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine, perhaps to release the real numbers of killed and maimed, so we know what to expect soon, perhaps stop fear-mongering and prosecute people so millions stop fleeing Russia forever, perhaps to do that, perhaps improve economic situation in the country so young families won't be afraid to have kids, they will be able to afford them. And I can go on and on and on. Something is telling me you are not telling us the whole truth. Oh, you, Dmitry, the little liar you are. It is so funny to see how Dmitry Peskov is turning around from his trademark, his printed on top of his forehead. Everything is going according to the plan, to catastrophe for the future of the nation. How fast they turn around, huh? Well, nice plan they had in the first place. Somehow no one's reminding him about the plan, you know. Another news is, it's pretty amusing to me. It's about, what kind of give you a gist of what's going on in Russia. Now, I don't know if you heard of this young singer in Russia, probably the biggest star right now. His name is Shaman. Shaman is Russia's Z propaganda symbol. He is a young guy, you know. He was absolutely unknown until he performed his song called Я русский, I am Russian. Why he is the icon for Russian propaganda, I don't know, because he doesn't look like Russian. He looks more like German, and he's dressed like German. You know, the retro German style. But hey, what do I know? A shaman is Russian Z propaganda symbol, okay? A tragedy happened for Shaman. YouTube banned his channel. Yes, believe it or not, he had a YouTube channel, and until recently, well, I guess he was making money on that. And then YouTube banned it. Not just Shaman, but YouTube banned quite a few Russian Z patriots, and Shaman was one of them. He didn't take it lightly. He didn't like it. How could YouTube do that, you know? So he decided to protest. He announced that he was gonna perform a concert in front of the American embassy in Moscow. Well, this is what he said, kind of a teaser that he filmed, and everyone, all propaganda media channels just started distributing it. What a guy. Hello, Russia. As you know, YouTube has blocked me because I am Russian. No, that's not because you're Russian. This is gonna be my answer.
Удалить мои песни, которые полюбили миллионы людей. Но вы знаете, что нас не запретить.
They banned my song, the millions like them, but they not gonna cancel us.
Потому что мы одна семья.
We're one family.
Мы правда и сила.
We are the truth.
Мы Россия.
We are Russia.
Запоминайте. Сегодня вечером в 21:00
Tonight at 9 p.m.
у американского
we'll meet
посольства.
at the American embassy.
Покажем им.
We'll show them.
Скоро нас всех ждет. Победа.
The victory is awaiting us. So that was a preview, and of course a lot of people showed up in later on, I believe it's Smolensky Boulevard, in front of the American Embassy. Young folks, students perhaps. So they starting to sing his song. If YouTube sends me a copyright strike, I'm gonna, delete the sound. All right, enough of that. So just to show you what was going on in front of the American Embassy. And of course, I want you to see this stage. It's big, it's professional, tons of professional sound. And they erected it very quickly. And it's costing lots of money to perform this concert. And bunch of Z Patriots in front of American Embassy. And, here is the song itself. I don't have any sound because, YouTube doesn't like when I, somehow he's not singing. Look, he doesn't have a mic, so, but the music is happening. So again, it's happened in front of the American Embassy. Thing is, Shaman was given this interviews, and he said, "Well, I don't care, how could they? But it doesn't touch me. I don't care. This is American, platform and all of that. I'm not. Basically, I don't care. I'm gonna show them." That's what he said, and he did. They performed a concert, but he contradicted himself. On one hand, he said no need for YouTube. On the other hand, he started protesting against him blocking YouTube. That's a direct contradiction here. So he did care because he was so upset. He performed the concert, okay? If he didn't care, why would he even be talking about it? So, but, folks, let me know in the comments if I am the only one seeing this contradiction. Because I'm not really, getting any feedback from the Russians. They're not seeing that. What do you think? Another interesting thing here is there is a very strict set of rules in Moscow set up by Moscow government. No concerts allowed. They are so afraid of people getting together. Opposition leaders, calling people in form of concerts, that they just banned conducting all the concerts. Only those concerts are possible that are sponsored or supervised by the Moscow government or by government agencies and so forth. Well, Shaman's concert was not supervised by anyone. Moreover, it was not safe because it was right next to the American Embassy. Definitely there was lots of increased amount of threats for the embassy and for people. If it happened in Washington, D.C., in front of Russian embassy, I'm pretty sure that Russians would go irate. Americans, well, I think they were watching the concert from inside the embassy, looking at the windows, and they were just laughing out loud. Okay, I would. So, but he broke the rule. Opposition tried to organize many times. No, we're not allowed. They were shut down. Shaman, no problem. And his concert was created, organized just like that on the spot. Usually takes days, perhaps weeks of different letters and agreements and approvals and so forth, stamps. Someone complained to Moscow government, made an official complaint, and I'm going to show you right now. This is the complaint. Okay, and it says basically, explain us why Shaman was allowed to perform the concert. He broke the rules. And, I think it came from an attorney, and the rules number such and such. And the answer is absolutely genius. The Moscow government acknowledged that there are rules that exist for organizing unauthorized concert. That's, not allowed. But Shaman was not doing the concert. He was simply making a presentation of his new music video. Folks, I don't know what to tell you. That's crazy. I don't call them crazy news for nothing. They are so double-faced, these Russian officials. In Russia, it's just another example that in Russia, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Perfect example, just perfect. Okay, so the next. Actually, the next news also comes from Moscow. Straight from my telephone, and it got to my telephone from Moscow, or perhaps from Russia. This is sort of direct advertisement. Messages with advertisements come straight to phones of Russian people, and it's nothing new. It's been happening for the past 15 years or so. First, there was no legislation when the first smartphones were invented and started spreading. Then they started creating some laws regulating direct advertisement like spam calls, spam messages, but somehow people circumnavigate these laws. Usual content of such messages was business related. Invitations to webinars or seminars. For example, how to increase sales. Okay? How to lower taxes, how to negotiate right, how to speak right, speak better, that type of thing. But this message I received recently is drastically different. I made a screenshot. Yeah, it's a screenshot from my telephone. And I'm gonna translate it to you. This is Maria from the Safe Office. Some time ago, you registered for one of our webinars, which is not true. I never registered, but that's the trick they always use to reach out to you, to kind of like break the ice. So I am writing this because on this date, and this next week, the webinar will take place called Preparation for Evidence Searching and Interrogation, Digital and Psychological Protection. It is intended for managers of small and medium-sized businesses. There you will receive specific instructions on how to prepare yourself and your employees for interrogations and searches conducted by the police, and keep your business under the electronic supervision of the Federal Tax Service in 2024. How to increase sales, how to lower taxes. That's before, that's in the old life, that's in normal Russia. Now, how to prepare for evidence search, arrest, and interrogation. People could try sugarcoating the reality in Russia all they want, and I'm talking about the government, the officials. They can be silent about important issues. They can lie, but they can't cover up everything for a long time. Truth will start seeping from every crack, from every hole. And this is the perfect example. This is the new reality when people pay to learn, to get knowledge, how to handle themselves in case of arrest. What else do you need to know about today's Russia? The next news comes straight from one of Russia's most beautiful places. And I'm not being ironic here. It is absolutely beautiful. It's world famous, world-known place. It's called the Lake Baikal. Check this out. It is considered a national park, a pearl, really, pearl of Russia, the natural reserve. Construction is very limited there. you cannot cut trees, you cannot build unless you have a special permission, which is really hard to get, well, you couldn't. Because now you can, legally. Because Russian government, Russian parliament just passed a bill allowing to cut down forest trees in the natural reserve zone around Lake Baikal. Just look at this picture. Look how beautiful this place is. So Russian parliament allows now to cut trees there for 10 years from now, for 10 years. The senators say that this is a necessity for the expansion of the Baikal-Amur and the Trans-Siberian railroads. Environmentalists and eco-activists have been opposing this initiative fiercely. They're saying you will harm Lake Baikal ecosystem, and I think it's obvious that is a very sad law, and it is obvious that no one will be extending the railroads. Russian economy is in such poor state that there's simply no funds to invest into such massive project. No funds in the government, and there are no private investors. All left Russia. I wonder why they're doing it. Well, how about this three-body problem? China is near, China needs wood, and China pays well everyone who assists, cooperates, and helps. How about that for an equation? What's interesting, one of the authors of this bill, the senator from the United Russia Political Party, Alexander Yakubovsky, the good senator wrote a denunciation letter to the KGB, and the Greenpeace was recognized as an undesirable organization in Russia based on that denunciation by the good senator. Yeah, take a closer look at this guy. And this is how things are done in Russia in the summer of 2024. First, you outlaw the eco-activists who stand in your way. Then you sell Russia to the Chinese, piece by piece. But let's move to Belgorod. Do you know what happens when a tank and a Russian car Niva collide? This is what happens. The Niva was driving along the main road, observing the traffic rules, and the crew of the tank drove the tank around the corner, around the big bend, without giving way to the car, and they crashed heads on. After that, judging by the photo from the scene of the accident, the tank stopped about 100 meters, 300 feet from the car, and according to the eyewitnesses, the tank's crew was in a deranged state and laughing. The deceased driver of Niva turned out to be a 73-year-old local resident, Konstantin Lopatkin, an agronomist. Neither local authorities nor law enforcement agencies didn't commented on this accident or gave any information about the collision of the tank and Niva. The insiders are reporting that, according to the investigators, the driver of Niva car died of a heart attack. Of course, the servicemen who were driving the tank were not tested for neither alcohol, drugs, or drugs in their blood. Yeah, no tests needed, obviously. Russian authorities are acting as if nothing happened. But this happened. And an innocent guy died. Imagine if they keep silence about cases like that inside Russia. Imagine what they talk or what they not talk about what happens in Ukraine. What a shame. Speaking of shame, did you know that in Russia you can get to prison for up to 2 years now? For growing some plants. Guess which plants? You wouldn't guess in a million years. If you, on your land, grow mint or sage, you are in danger because you are breaking the law. According to new Russian legislation, both mint and sage, are considered psychotropic and narcotics plants. Now, do I think that the courts will be throwing Russians who grow mint in their own gardens for, to put in the salads? I do that all the time. I buy mint at the store here in Uzbekistan. And guess what? I used to buy mint at the stores, at the food stores in Russia. It's available. And I think at this point it still is available, despite it's being narcotics, It's crazy. So, do I think that the courts will be throwing Russians to prison for mint? No, I don't think so. What is much more probable is these people, if they caught growing mint in their gardens, they will be fined for up to 300,000 rubles. That's $4,300. Remember, I've said many times that the government in 2024 will be out there looking for money in any way possible. And they will use all the means available to them to seize money from regular people. Well, this is a perfect example. It's happening. Grow mint or sage, and I don't know, like tens of millions of people grow them. All my grandmas, both of them, and grew. My mom and dad grew mint, especially for me, because I love the smell of mint. I, brew it with tea, and it's crazy. I don't call them crazy news for nothing. Before moving to the next news, let me thank you. Those of you who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com, your support shows me that you value my work highly, and please know that it's not just the coffee that you buy in me. You're giving me positive feedback that I value more than money. Know that it inspires me a lot and gives me energy to move forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, I would like to thank you, my sponsors and patrons. Thank you for supporting. I appreciate your support a great deal. And the next news piece comes from Russian regulator of telecommunications. As you might know, Russians need to identify themselves with domestic passport in order to buy a telephone number, a SIM card. SIM card is a tiny little chip that you insert into your phone, and voila, you have a number. So both electronic SIM card or physical SIM card, you need your passport. They register in your national database. Why? Because they need to track you. They need to eavesdrop on you. A person can currently own unlimited amount of telephone numbers in Russia, which it kind of makes sense, It's up to you and your wallet. Your wallet, that's all. Well, the government doesn't think that is right, and it doesn't like that the fact that everyone can own unlimited amount of telephone numbers. It thinks that one person can own up till 20 telephone numbers. That's it. The thing is, regulators' employees decided that people don't need more than 20 numbers. That number is optimal, they say. They also noted that in recent years, the number of SIM cards per person has been growing due to the increase in number of smart gadgets that require separate telephone numbers, SIM cards, And they're not used for making calls, but they're just used for mobile internet. And with the development of digitalization in Russia, the numbers required for such gadgets will grow. I will translate the official language into simple English for you. Russian regulators Russian regulator in this case, is concerned that with growing number of SIM cards, telephone numbers, it'll be more difficult to monitor, spy, and eavesdrop on citizens. That's why they want to forbid, to limit the numbers one can legally own. I personally believe that the regulator shouldn't be worrying too much. Where Russia is going currently, and it's going there fast, it's called undigitalization. They keep blocking or slowing down things like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, and now YouTube. That's definitely not development of digitalization. That is, going to the wrong direction. So, quite a news, huh? The next news comes from the province of Kaluga. It's near Moscow. Mi-28, the attack helicopter, equipped for hunting and intercepting drones in NATO classification, it's called Havoc, crashed in Kaluga province. The helicopter was returning from a combat mission on the border with Bryansk province. That's not in Ukraine, that's in Russia. Perhaps they were hunting for drones. Well, since this helicopter was specifically equipped for drone hunting, makes sense. So, as reported by the Ministry of Defense, the cause of the emergency of the crash was a technical malfunction on board. The crew discovered that's interesting. The crew discovered malfunction on board. A fire in the cabin. No, something caused the fire. What's interesting here is that Mi-28 helicopter is 100% Soviet made. They started designing Mi-28 in 1976 and mass production started in 1982. These helicopters must be incredibly safe and reliable. I mean, they've been through so much. They've been through Afghanistan. They've been through Chechen wars. They've been through different international missions in Africa. This Russian servicemen know them inside out, right? Yet, they start crashing, killing their crews due to technical problems. Now, this kind of news gives us a little idea of what's really going on in the most high-tech part of Russia's armed forces, at the Air Force. Why can't they keep up with maintaining their helicopters that they produce themselves and they know so well, tried and true it? Why can't they keep them flying and not crashing? Anyone? Perhaps there's chaos inside the Russian armed forces. I think so. By the way, there will be many news like that, and I cover them every single day. If you want to keep up with the news just like that, I select 9 news every day. I comment. I make my analysis. I find news that matter and I find important. I make them available to patrons on patreon.com. Everything you wanted to know about Russia, but were afraid to ask. So sign up to become Inside Russia patron and get access to the news that matter. I'm going to put links down below in the description and in the comments right after I'm done with the stream. The next news is actually amusing. A prominent Putin supporter and a big Z patriot, the governor of Dagestan, Sergei Melikov, speaking to his subordinates in Dagestan, I guess they were just having a regular conversation. So he made an interesting speech, and I want you to see that. Check it out.
У вас там главный врач вашей центральной районной больницы, чей родственник? А?
Добрый день, Сергей Алимович. Он исполняет обязанности, главврач находится СПО.
Не, ладно, хорошо, главврач в
Chief doctor
СВО,
went to
чего он
the
туда
war.
поехал в СВО?
Why?
Кровью, блядь, грехи смывать, что ли, блядь, по такой задолженности? Или что он туда поехал, блядь?
Swear word after swear
А что вы
word
туда его
after swear
отпустили в
word.
СВО? Что вы его туда отпустили, в это СВО?
Everyone is shocked.
Ну сидит он там, этот главный врач у вас на перевязочном пункте. Борется с педикулезом, блядь, на передовой, блядь.
That's absolutely shocking, folks. You know, this is the first time ever I hear a Russian senator speaking like that. You know, they all supported, all of them, they supported the war always for the past 2.5 years. And now we're hearing for the first time he starts questioning. The chief doctor of one of the hospitals went to the SWO, that's how they call the war, the special military operation. And instead of getting approval of that, they get incredible, I can't even say it's criticizing. It's the guy who was using F word left and right, okay? That's the senator, and he was speaking in front of his government, you know? It's just insane. Again, this is the first time. I'm shocked myself. But this news shows me that 2 years ago, it was impossible even to imagine something like that happening. 1 year ago was impossible to imagine. Now, it's happening. Interesting. And to me, it is one of many signs, small signs, that the tide is finally turning. You know, big changes never happen abruptly. Small changes appear first, here and there. It's when a fire breaks out, it's never a huge fire all of a sudden. You get a little bit of smoke here, there, and then over a few minutes, the smoke develops. And this is what I'm seeing. This is the very first sign I've seen in 2.5 years of the highest Russian official in Dagestan starts bashing the war. What was impossible 1 year ago, right now it's happening in front of our eyes. Interesting. The next news is very emotional and tragic. I want you to watch the answer of the mayor of Marshansk, a very ordinary, small Russian town in the central Russia. So his answer when a woman asked him what her brother was killed in Ukraine for. And this is what the mayor, Andrei Bannikov, answered. Please check this out.
Чтобы наши дети сейчас отдыхали в летних лагерях, чтобы город наш благоустраивался, чтобы были спортивные площадки, чтобы мост наш наконец отремонтировали, чтобы набережная у нас была. Вот за все за это погиб ваш брат.
He died so Russian children could go to summer camps. So the bridge in Marshansk would finally be fixed. So the embankment in Marshansk would finally be built. For all of that, your brother died. That's his answer. Russian men was mobilized and sent to Ukraine to kill Ukrainians. So the bridge in Marshansk gets finally fixed and new sports areas for kids are built. What the fudge? Russia is such a rich country, and before Putin started the war, Russia was swimming in money, literally. All those things the mayor was talking about, you know, this embankment, bridge, sports courts, you know, they could be built in weeks. There was money for that, including in the budget of Marshansk. And if Marshansk didn't have the money, the mayor could have gone to Moscow or could have gone to governor and get the monies. Again, Russia was swimming in money. Now, it's running on empty, but it had enough money to, without getting much for natural gas, to finance the war for 2.5 years. And every year it spends billions and billions of rubles, okay? And it still hasn't run out of money. Without they could have built Russia to make it shine, to make it the best country in the world without attacking Ukraine. The politicians and the members of the vertical of power in Russia were stealing people's money for over 2 decades. And now they give those answers to those citizens whose family members were killed? Really? Really? I'm shocked. The woman is crying. Obviously, she's very emotional. But she, at the same time, she's buying the mayor's bull crap. I'm shocked that she doesn't pick up a chair and smashes that guy on the head for that answer. She's crying. Her brother died, but she's buying the answer. Folks, imagine how many Ukrainians her brother could have killed. Or killed, you know. Imagine Ukrainian women standing in front of their mayors and crying in a very similar way about their killed husbands or killed brothers, and asking their mayors what their husbands were killed for. And the mayors on the other side, on the Ukrainian side, you know, their answers would be simple. I don't know why Russians invaded us and started killing us. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. And you know what? I don't know either. I am Russian sitting in Uzbekistan and I have no clue. Sometimes I hope that it's still February 23rd, 2022, and I'm sleeping. And I'm just having a nightmare, you know, bad dream. And somebody wakes me up and I open my eyes and I go, oh, whew, I just saw like the worst nightmare of my life. Someone, folks, please wake me up. Every time I open my eyes, I see the reality, and it's not good. I don't know what her brother died for. I don't know why Russians invaded Ukraine and keep on killing Ukrainians and getting killed too. Folks, please, someone, please wake me up. The next news is, well, it's not really news. That's something that caught my attention when I was looking at other news. I want you to watch this. I want you to watch Vladimir Putin speaking in front of a large group. Or actually, I don't know if it's Vladimir Putin or a person who looks like Vladimir Putin. I don't know. I can't tell you. So don't pay much attention what Vladimir Putin is talking about. That his words don't carry that much of meaning, significance. Pay very close attention to the faces of Russian people. Now, watch close.
Что делает страна, чем страна живет, и того, чего она добивается, чтобы это было показано. Поэтому мы договорились.
I wish I could show to you slow down.
Об этом сейчас сказали. Национальный центр будем создавать на площадке Экспо. Это решено. И, Владимир Ильич, так же, как вы предложили, будем делать это и в регионах Российской Федерации. Это должно быть... Вот, хотелось бы, чтобы это было так же ярко, как это получилось у вас. В этой связи я очень рассчитываю на то, что вот, команда, которая у вас сложилась, она и будет задействована в продолжении этой совместной работы.
Watch the first part.
Что делает страна, чем страна живет, и того, чего она добивается, чтобы это было показано. Поэтому мы договорились.
Well, their faces are so tender and so enlightened. They love him. They adore him. They admire him. No one is forcing to look at him that way. No one is making them. It's their choice. Why? Why? Oh, why? Friends, I don't know what to say. I have no comments. The next news comes from Russian propaganda. That's a good one. No, not really. It comes from America, New York. It comes from a Soviet propaganda, Soviet news, old Soviet news. I was looking at stuff, and I again caught this news, and I had a weird feeling that now I don't watch Russian TV. Okay, I watch excerpts. I watch small videos here and there. There are plenty of those. Watching one of the videos, I had this really strange feeling that this is not the first time that I've seen it someplace else, and hit me. Old Soviet propaganda when I was a kid, long time ago, when I was growing up. I saw it on the Soviet TV. The picture right now is much better, and of course, the quality is much better. It's more colorful, high resolution. But the thing is, the ideas and the narratives are absolutely the same. They come from one guidebook. Lately, Russian propaganda started bashing America about last year or so. They bash American politicians. They bash smallest mistakes. They bashed it. It's just so toxic, okay? But America is so terrible that immigrants are leaving, going back to their home countries, etc. And, something caught my eye. A report from New York again. That came from 1982, summer of 1982, and it was shown on the Soviet TV, and I'd like to check it out.
Рекордно жаркая погода стоит в эти дни в Нью-Йорке, в других городах северо-востока Америки. Температура держится на уровне 35-38 градусов по Цельсию. В сочетании с высокой влажностью, которая всегда бывает здесь в летние месяцы, жара становится почти невыносимой. Эта волна горячего воздуха пришла сюда с юга и среднего запада страны. Там еще жарче. И такая устойчивая жара держится там больше месяца. Каждый день приходят сообщения о новых жертвах. Десятки людей погибают каждый день от тепловых ударов. Это те, у которых нет денег, чтобы оплачивать счета за электричество. Люди, живущие на пенсию или на пособие по бедности, не решаются пользоваться кондиционерами, даже когда они есть, потому что счет за электричество доходит тогда до $140-150 в месяц. Огромный ущерб от жары и засухи несет и сельское хозяйство. И экономисты предупреждают сейчас, что уже в ближайшие недели будет резкое повышение цен на мясо, на хлеб, на крупы, на яйца, на овощи. Такой сильной засухи и такой продолжительной жары не знали в Америке более 40 лет.
Folks, how do you like it? A blast from the past. I personally love it. Today's news produced in Russia, now, these days, they were written not today, but 40 years ago, in the early 80s. It's perhaps they were written by the same people. Shame on... I was gonna say shame on them, but doesn't cut it anymore. I want to tell you that this is same crab, different day, only different decade. I will try to keep my eyes open, and I'll be looking for news like that to show you more and more, because I personally find it amusing. This huge mosaic picture is like getting created in my head from the small pieces, and I'm seeing that Soviet Union never died in the heads of many, many people. It's just was somehow pushed away to the back of their heads, and now it's back with a bang. The next news comes from Russian parliament again, and it's about the USSR 2.0. This is another proof that the USSR never died in the heads of many people. The deputy speaker of Russian parliament, Kuznetsova, said that shopping malls are one of the main strongholds of foreign content. I quote the good senator. One of the main strongholds of foreign and non-Russian content is large shopping malls, where you can see anything not Russian, anything foreign, but you will not see anything Russian. These animes, foreign superheroes, foreign brands, foreign foods, foreign clothes, the fashion remains foreign, not ours. And when I came to the store after a year and a half of a special military operation, that's how they call the war, I didn't find a single backpack with a Russian flag. You go into a store, you look at children's things, the inscriptions are all foreign, not a single Russian word, even if it's Russian manufacture. I end quote. And she's right. Russian consumers buy and, only pay attention to what they like. They vote with their ruble. That's a free market economy. And they don't like to buy Russian. I am a consumer. When I lived in Russia, I used to buy foreign because I don't like to buy Russian. Usually quality is crap. Levi's jeans, Nikes, Adidas, Zara, you name it. Anything but Russian. Freedom of choice, right? Well, not for too long. Something is telling me that Senator Kuznetsova and other Russian senators are very serious, and they mean business. They will work extra hard to force shopping malls and stores to sell Russian stuff. And they will force Russian consumers to buy Russian stuff. They will decide for us because they think they know better than us. They know better for us. And we've been there before, and that was not pretty. I remember, that's the USSR. And now we're back into the USSR 2.0. But you know what I cannot explain? Confused beyond anything, Kuznetsova. Senator Kuznetsova is not your typical unhappy old lady born in Stalin time. Let's say like Valentina Tereshkova. This is Senator Kuznetsova. She was born in 1982. She's 42 years old. She was growing up seeing the worst of the USSR. And she's not coming from the family of nomenclatura, the communist bosses. She didn't have she's regular, normal Soviet child. Right now, she has 7 children, and her husband is a Russian church pope. Why does she want to bring us all back to the USSR? Why? Again, this question, if you have a suggestion, please let me know down below in the comments. I am so confused. This beautiful 42-year-old woman, senator, supposed to bring good for Russian people, to create public good. She wants everyone to go back into the USSR where she remembers it was terrible. Why? Why, instead of forcing everyone to sell or buy Russian, why don't you just create economic conditions where Russians will be producing? Russians will have an upper hand. Russians will be motivated to create better products. That's how it works, not just taking and forcing upon us. All right. Before moving to the next news, I would like to ask you a favor. Please select 3 news that you like the most that you heard today and let me know what they are down below in the comments. I really would like to get your feedback because I try to finesse my skills in selecting news. I would really, really appreciate that. And if you want to put something nice, perhaps a couple lines of encouragement, Konstantin, doing a good job or something like that, enjoy your content, that would be so great because I love reading things like that. That's very, very heartwarming, pleasing, and it grows wings behind my back. So thank you so much, friends. Let me know what you think down below in a comment. The last news is another top-ranked Russian general bites the dust. Arrested, and his future is unknown now. Former Deputy Minister of Defense, Army General Dmitry Bulgakov, this guy right here, he was arrested today and charged with corruption. 69-year-old Bulgakov is being detained in SIZO number 2 of the Federal Penitentiary Service of Russia named Butyrka, where Sergei Magnitsky was murdered some 12 years ago. Army General is the highest rank among Russian generals. And this fella is the Army General. Look at the big star, 1 star on his shoulders. Shoigu is also 1-star general. Since 2017, this fella, this army general, was in charge supplying Russian army in Syria with food. Turns out the guy was super rich. He had a summer house in Syria. He spent much time there chilling in the city of Tartus. He had bank accounts with tons of money, real estate everywhere. Well, you know, the usual. Surprise, surprise. It's surprise to everyone in the Russian government, not to us. He is the latest case of what I call the biggest assault on the Russian armed forces in the recent history. We have over a dozen people from the Ministry of Defense or linked to the Ministry of Defense who have disappeared. What do I mean by who disappeared? Well, they have either resigned or were fired, or they arrested, or simply vanished. They used, or died, of course. They used to be talked about in the news because they were the cream of the crop of the Ministry of Defense, the top guys. In the news, always. Now, the propaganda is acting again as if it never heard those names, as if they never existed. Try to find news about Timur Ivanov, who was all over the news before. No, you will not find any. So those disappeared, including but not limited to the following names: Timur Ivanov, Igor Popov, Yuri Kuznetsov, Vadim Shamarin, Artyom Gorodilov, Vladimir Verteletsky, Yuri Sadovenko, Igor Kotelnikov, Magomed Khandaev, Dmitry Trishkin, Tatiana Shevtsova, Irina Kapkova. And you know, they have different fates. For example, some have been arrested. Vadim Shamarin, the top guy, the deputy of Gerasimov, the chief of staff. Igor Popov, the combat general. Obviously, Timur Ivanov, the richest guy, one of the richest guys in Russia, and the Shoigu's wallet, all arrested. Igor Kotelnikov, for example, and Magomed Khandaev died very suspicious deaths. Tatiana Shevtsova and Irina Kapkova, well, Tatiana Shevtsova fled Russia. She went to France. And Irina Kapkova simply disappeared without a trace. And the list goes on. And again, those aren't just your regular generals. They're deputy chief of staff helping the boss to create strategy for the war in Ukraine, the deputy minister of defense, the army general, also deputy minister of defense, the army's money czar, you name it, they're big shots. Again, they're always there. Putin's name, they're not too far from that, the biggest guys, well, not just guys, biggest men and women. Russian Ministry of Defense is being feverish, obviously. Something is telling me it's not the end, it's just the beginning. Remember when Shoigu was replaced by Belousov, the new Minister of Defense, a few months ago? Many people said, oh, Russian army is going to get so much stronger now. It's such a great news. It's about time Shoigu was fired or removed from his position, from his seat. Now everything will change. Now that's what Russian army needs. Now the fresh face, the fresh blood, the guy with a carte blanche from Putin, he will change everything around. Well, since then, the focus in the Russian armed forces really has been switched from the front lines to the fight inside the armed forces for the political influence and for the money. So the fight inside army, perhaps between the power clans, they want access to money flows. And also there's a clear fight going on between the armed forces and the KGB. And that's a very, very dangerous fight for the army, for both actually. There are clearly the bulldogs fighting under the carpet. We're not seeing what's going on exactly, but we're just seeing there's a fight. And once in a while, we see the dead bodies flying out of the carpet. Once in a while, occasionally. With this hidden war, with this inside war going on, the Russian army will not achieve anything in Ukraine. The things will be getting worse. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand if in the last couple months this has been happening with the top generals. You just don't do that when you're at war, and they're doing it. Good. Again, Russian army will not achieve anything in Ukraine. I am more certain now than ever that the win for Ukraine will come not from the front lines, but from the inside the Kremlin, where Russian political elites are currently fighting for the control of the armed forces. And that's very good news. Folks, I will keep you informed. And now I want to invite you to find out the real reason I returned to Russia after spending 9 years in America. I'm going to place a link right here. Check it out.